Welcome to the Be More podcast with your host, James Calderbank. I'm also the owner of Transform Franchise, and the Be More podcast is all about helping you be more in yourself, in life, and whatever ambition you're working towards, whether it's business, personal, or whatever it might be. We're here to bring guests on to inspire you to become the best you. So today on the show, episode 3, we've got Briony from Burnley. I've been dying to say that. I couldn't wait. So now we've got a bit out of the way. So just before we dive in, so Briony is one of the first influencers, I believe.
Quite a while ago now, actually, yeah.
Back early adopter on Instagram. So at 21, you founded Talia,
yes.
the clothing company, on £100.
Yes.
So I'm super excited to see how you did that. And then you've now got a huge social media following. So let's dive in.
Yeah. So yes, I am the founder of Talia, which is just a female fashion brand.
Yep.
I'm 29 now. So yeah, going back to when I was 21, I was actually at uni. I was in my second year, and if we go back a little bit further, I'd actually got my first job at River Island, which is when I was around 16. That is actually what got me into fashion to start with. It kind of, I don't even really know where to start.
Well, I'm going to start this one off
then.
Go on. So, because I've got a few, these are probably the things that will get us the most views, to be honest. So I'm going to ask you just a few trivial questions to start with, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So, first question. So, you literally pick one or the other. So, would you rather have 1 million Instagram followers given to you now, or £1 million in your bank?
1 million followers.
1 million followers.
Yeah,
Why is that?
Every time. Because that is going to give me... I can't even tell you. It would be... You've got your customers, for one.
Yep.
Obviously, the reach is insane. And then you're obviously going to make that money back.
Yeah. And the
so many
dopamine
times
hit of the new
over.
Followers as well?
Well, just all those new customers, I suppose, yeah. Because I
right.
see the followers as customers, always.
Absolutely. So, what's one thing you can't live without and you can't say your other half?
Probably social media.
Yep.
As awful as that probably sounds in this day and age, social media is everything, and without it, I wouldn't have a business.
Okay. So, would you rather work from home or the office?
The office.
Why?
Because since I've moved away, I've missed that kind of like buzz around the office.
Yeah.
Working from home, I think you kind of get back into that. I don't know. Yeah, definitely the office, because there's just everything's going on there.
Okay. All right. So, which one would you choose? 1 million followers extra or £1 million in your bank account?
If I'm being honest, I think both of them are fantastic. I think obviously, depending on what industry you're in, is what is can benefit you in different ways. I think 1 million followers could potentially be 1 million customers, and a lot of new eyes on your brand. But I think £1 million invested in the correct places would also be absolutely incredible. So both of them are.
But if you had to pick one right now,
if I had to pick one,
gun to your head.
Oh, I'm going to say...
Guns to your head, even.
I'm going to say followers for potential customers, because I've already got an established brand. But I think starting off from scratch, if you had £1 million to start, it would be amazing.
Yeah, okay, good answer. So, would you rather have a pop-up in Paris or New York?
Oh, I think New York, because I think hitting into that US market would be incredible.
You've not done that yet, no?
No.
Okay.
We do online, but I've never had a store over there.
Soon. So, if you could delete one social media platform forever that you're currently using, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. I think they're all amazing for different things. I mean, the one that gets on my absolute nerves is TikTok, but it is incredible at the moment. But actually, as from a personal point of view, yeah, TikTok is just, you get sucked in so
much to it.
So much. But I think if I had to, probably Facebook.
Yeah.
Because Facebook is, for me, probably where I get less reach.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Organically, anyway.
I imagine it. Would you say you've got a sort of a younger demographic you're targeting? So
I've always been my target customer.
Yeah.
And when I started the business, Facebook was dwindling out and Instagram was really coming in.
Yeah.
Obviously TikTok in the last, 5 years now, has been amazing. But yeah, I'd say Facebook probably is for a little bit older than my general customer.
That's interesting, because when I started, I wasn't smart enough at the time, or wasn't aware enough at the time to capitalize on how easy it was to get followers at the start of Instagram. Well, a lot easier than it is now anyway. So I unfortunately come into at the point where you have to spend a lot of money to get the traffic, so which has worked very well for me. But yeah, we're finding like most of our customers are like 40 plus.
Yeah.
We get a lot of them on Facebook. So Facebook has been the best, but they are slowly transitioning to Instagram. So I feel like there's a bit of an evolution.
100%. And I feel like I do know brand owners that are a bit older. They've got a bit of an older target audience, and they still absolutely love Facebook.
Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram definitely is my age bracket. And then I think TikTok now coming along is now going to be the new one.
Yeah. Can you tell me a bit of a background then, how you started in the fashion industry back in, was it 2015, would it have been?
Yeah, well, it goes back probably a bit further than that. So when I was at college, I got my first Christmas temp job at River Island, and that was my first insight to the fashion industry. And I absolutely loved that job. They kept me on, and I stayed there for 4 years. 16 at this point. Yeah, so I'd gone to college for health and social care because I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. Then getting that job at River Island really made me fall in love with fashion. And that's when I realised that I wanted to go to uni for fashion buying and merchandising. So I went on to do that whilst working at River Island. And then in my second year is when I actually set up Talia Rose. So I was sat in a lecture. I remember it clear as day. I can remember the room and everything. And I think Boohoo was in doing a talk.
So you must have been like 17 at this point, 16 something?
18 maybe at uni.
Wow.
So yeah, Boohoo was in, and I might have been 19 actually.
So had you always, just to backtrack a little bit, have you always
so
known that you always wanted to be a business owner then? Or?
Not particularly. I've always loved buying and selling. If we go a bit into my childhood, I always used to go to car boot sales with my grandparents, even my parents. And do you know what? I still love a car boot sale now. I love to negotiate. I love getting a good deal. But again, something I did when I was in school is buy clothes off eBay for 99p. That was my top bid. I wouldn't go any higher than that. Then I'd wash them and sell them on Depop, or back on eBay at the time, for £10. And that is what I did as a bit of a hobby. My mum would obviously... I remember
always come natural to you?
I'd get home from school and my mum would be like, oh my goodness, you've had 7 sales today, been £70.
Yeah.
All from like £7. So that's kind of where the buying and selling in me, I think, started. Then getting the job in fashion, kind of like, this is the career I want to do, want to go down. Then being at uni, and I was genuinely just sat in a lecture and I thought, we are all sat in here. We all have the same opportunity at this moment in time. And I really do think I could do this myself instead of going to work for PLT or Boohoo, which would have been the direction I would have gone down, being a fashion buyer or merchandiser for one of these companies. And yeah, it went from there really.
Oh, wow. Totally relates. That's how I started when I was like 15. I don't know, younger than that, probably like 12. I started selling iPhone. Do you remember the bumpers off the original iPhones?
Yes.
The metal bit.
Yeah.
I started importing those.
No way.
They almost looked fake. Like they weren't branded as Apple. So yeah, but it was probably a bit a bit on the edge of being fake.
That would have been like when I was in school.
Yeah.
Is that similar for you?
Yeah. So I worked in a school, and the woman that I used to work with, I used to hate working with. I won't name the name of where I used to work. I hope she hears this. But I remember going down into, there was like a basement under the school where you had to go and like get equipment from, because I was an IT technician. I don't know how I landed in that job. But I used to like get on my eBay on my phone, 20 minutes, buying, like doing all like the selling, importing things from China and everything. And then it stopped when I bought 1,000 pen drives. At the time, like
that's a lot.
2 GB on a pen drive at the time was like unheard of. So I was like, wow, I went on Alibaba, bought these things. And then, it stopped when they started getting chargebacks and refunds because there was only 2 megabytes of data on them. But so yeah, that's how my eBay career started. But anyway, it's more about you to do.
I feel like eBay has, it really.
So what platforms are you selling on? What
at the moment?
No,
at the time.
Back then, yeah.
Depop. I started on Depop. So when I was at uni, Depop was kind of coming out as the new eBay. Wow. It was more of a social media kind of selling platform. It was targeting people of my age to resell clothes that obviously they was only wearing once. And I thought, there's nothing stopping me, selling as a business on here. And it took time because people genuinely did think, you had half the people thinking we were a shop, and speaking to us, and I had no idea how to speak like, customer service, you could say. And then the other half with, thinking they were buying off, secondhand clothes. So that it was a real strange, but I got the hang of it.
So was this point when you started up with £100, right?
We'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So Depop was obviously the platform that I started selling on.
Yeah.
But if we go back to when I originally founded the business, it was handmade swimwear. That's how my brand started.
Wow.
So after I'd had this light bulb moment, you could say, at uni, I'd chosen that I wanted to go down the swimwear route. So I had about £95 in my bank or whatever it was, just from working on 4 hours on a Saturday at River Island. I think I'd actually gone to Pandora at this time, but I was working in retail. And I went to a fabric shop in Burnley, my hometown, in Duke Bar. And there's a lovely fabric shop there. And I bought a few different samples of fabric. And I used to be a dancer when I was younger. And I basically took these fabric samples to my old seamstress who used to make my dance costumes with a hand-drawn bikini that I'd done. And she basically said she'd make me the sample for, it was about £40, and I'd given her the fabrics. And she then created this bikini for me. I then went home, took a picture against my mum's bedroom wall because it was white, posted it on Depop, then posted it to my Instagram, which at the time I think I had about 2,000 followers on, which was quite a lot for back then. And I did made to order, so there was no more outlay for me. I think Depop were taking 10%.
Genius.
But yeah, at the time it was...
So every time you got an order and
I ordered it, then I bought the fabric, then I paid her, and I made the profit. And at the time I went quite high with my price point because I used Swarovski crystals on these bikinis that I used to do in the dance world.
Posh.
So I think we were selling them for about £60 at the time. And they just went crazy with everyone wanting them for Ocean Beach. And yeah, that was amazing. I carried on with about 4 or 5 designs until I got sent an image on Instagram of a Chinese factory duplicating all the designs using my...
How old are you at this point? Like, I'm just trying to keep my head in the right timeline.
I was probably 20.
20, right, okay.
21.
So a lot happened in like a
so
few
much has happened.
few years.
Yeah. This was
okay,
just
so the Chinese
before,
are trying to rip you off.
This is just before we established really with the clothing brand.
Okay.
The 6 months prior to the clothing brand, we did the handmade swimwear, selling it on the second.
So they were just copying off Depop.
They had my images all over eBay.
That your exact ones.
Of me.
Just save yours.
Crop my head off.
Oh my God.
Saying they were selling this bikini for about £15. But then I was getting customers down the line. This is how I found out. Somebody had messaged me and said, I've bought this off eBay. It's nothing like the picture. Like, what's going on? And I thought, well, I don't sell on eBay, for one. 2, I don't know who this girl is. I had no communication with her. So we've obviously got to the bottom of it. It wasn't from me. And to be honest, I was so disheartened. I completely stopped what I was doing for about a month.
Wow.
While I figured out what I wanted to do. So yeah, I'm pretty sure these bikinis are still probably listed on eBay. Me and my mum actually ordered one to see what it looked like. And when it came, it was just atrocious. Yeah. The fit was so off. It was little plastic gems. But yeah, that was probably one of the big moments I remember from starting up.
Are you glad that happened?
I am, because it sent me in the direction that I've gone down now, which is the clothing. It was getting to winter anyway when this was happening, and I'd already started to think, how am I going to sell bikinis in winter? So I think those two things coming together, being so disheartened from those, replicating those bikinis on eBay, to then also what am I going to sell in the winter? It kind of 2 and 2 came together. Yeah.
Wow. So we've gone from sort of just this startup from £100.
Yep.
Now we could say that just one stat alone I've got here, you did 2 million on TikTok, right? In revenue at
last
one point?
year, 1.5 million, yeah.
Just from TikTok?
Just from TikTok. TikTok's not my best friend at the moment. I don't know if I love it or hate it at the minute. I feel like it's very
So have we gone from £100 Briony to 1.5, £2 million TikTok right now?
We invested £100 into fabrics, which I made the bikinis from. Within 6 months, that had turned into £100,000, which was the big... Right, this isn't a hobby anymore, this is a business. And then I had this obviously bulk of money, probably not the 100, that was obviously my turnover, but I had a good pot of money then to go to factories and suppliers and start to get clothing samples.
Yeah. So we flying out to like international suppliers?
a lot, but a
So
lot
there's
of
factories
it.
in like Paris. Is there?
Yeah, there's
Right.
suppliers in Paris. I don't design everything. Not
Okay.
since the bikini saga happened. That really put me off, and I feel like that's why I do ready-made items now.
So you're finding like the best ones that you think
Yeah,
will
so
do
I'm
it, and
hand
then
selecting things, and sometimes I change the colour that is exclusive to us, with minimum order quantities. But a lot of it is just ready-made things that I haven't had a say in the design really, because that is a completely different ball game, and I think you've got to be a real certain kind of person to be able to do that.
yeah.
I'm not a design person, never have been. I love the buying and selling, I love fashion, but I think actually designing and bringing out your own designs is incredible, and it is something I'd love to do in the future. But yeah, at the moment we buy and we sell, and I do really love what we do.
So I want to. What's your normal day look like? So we're discussing before this podcast. There needs to be more women in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Like we want loads more women in our franchise group. So for you, like I can imagine it felt quite lonely. I presume at some points.
Yeah, I remember my seamstress at the time. She had a business making dance costumes, and she actually said to me, "Just to let you know, Briony, when you start your business, the better you do, the less friends you'll have."
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, I don't know, what do you mean, blah, blah, blah. But she's so right. I literally probably have 5 very good friends that I could count on one hand. Yeah.
I totally relate to that as
well. I
well.
forgot what question you just asked me.
So we were speaking about it's like
women in
entrepreneurship. Like we were speaking about before the podcast started. So yeah, what's it been like for you, like going through that journey?
I feel like I've met a lot of business owners along the way. A lot of them do tend to be male-owned, with obviously young girls being influencers or fronting the brand, which is amazing. But I do think in this last 5 years especially, I'd say from lockdown, there is a lot more female young business owners that are up and coming, because you've got that social media platform and it really doesn't cost. Well, social media is free.
Yeah.
People always say to me, but how do I start a business? And I think by the time you've finished asking me that question, you could have made an email address. You could have made an Instagram account. Coming soon in the bio, you've got people following it already.
Yeah, people get FOMO, don't they? Like they want to. People
fear.
buy into it. They want to. They know like it's trivial, but they're like, oh right, I still need to be part of it just in case,
just to share it.
So speaking of friends and family, actually, so you hire or work with your mum and dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's their background and how did that happen that they
both my mum and dad? I think they actually met working at a printing firm. So none of them have business backgrounds really. Me and my mum basically, when I was at uni, I said, I had the conversation with her that I would love to do this myself. And obviously my mum being amazing, I'm an only child, so me and my mum are like thick as thieves. She obviously said, whatever I decide to do, she'll help me with. So when I set up the business, she was obviously there helping me all the way. And I'd say about 9 months in, we had a meeting with my accountant and said, look, this has to be a joint venture because I can't do this on my own. There's absolutely no way I can grow the business or even keep up with. Yeah, to my mum.
Yeah.
My mum.
You said it to her.
Yeah.
So I thought he was like, right, this needs to be a joint venture now. I was like, she's a smart one.
I said to my mum, sorry. And my accountant at the time, like, this is too much for one person, especially me. I'm at uni. I ended up dropping out of uni to do the business. But yeah, my mum was there. About 9 months in, I said, we need to do this 50-50. You need to be my business partner. And it's been that ever since. And then I'd say around 3 years later, my dad was working, he had a depot for my Hermes. And he worked for the courier company, which actually came in handy when it came to shipping parcels.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wasn't, he wasn't loving
Getting
his
resourceful.
job. Very resourceful, yeah. He wasn't loving it. And I said, you know what, we can take you on and we could do with the extra help. Would you like to come work for us full time? And he's been with us for about 5 years now.
So if I'm right, so your dad's had the business, like a distribution business then? Yeah.
My Hermes, which is now Every. Yeah, he had a depot.
Yes, it's like a sort of franchise sort of thing.
In Burnley, yeah.
And has he always done things like that then? Or?
I think he's had a few different jobs over the years, but that was what he'd done for quite a long time, from when I was a child anyway.
And what about your mum? Has she owned a business before?
My mum, no, she She was working in a printing firm.
Yeah.
So printing, I don't even know. But then my mum was actually really poorly. So she was off work for a couple of years. And it was around the time mum was due to go back to work when I made the decision that we can do this as a joint business venture. So the timing was absolutely perfect. But I could not have done what I've done without her by my side, because she is just amazing. She really is.
Wow. Sounds like you've got a really good relationship with them as well. That's good.
100%. My mum and dad, they're still together.
So
which
you
is
have a
amazing.
clash working together all the time?
Never, no.
Yeah. I love mum and dad, but I don't.
My mum puts me right in my place.
Yeah. Does she?
Yeah, and she keeps me grounded.
But you've brought a trend now to set this like huge entrepreneurial spirit in the family, right? So
I would love
you got
to
a lot of
carry that
expectation on you now.
Literally, and I would love to carry that on if I ever am lucky enough to have children. I would love to push this on them 100%, because I think it's just an amazing personality trait as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, mum and dad are amazing. I come up, obviously I live in Bath now, but I do come up and see them and the warehouse for a week every month, make sure everything's running how it should be. And it always is, because I can't fault my mum and dad. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you weren't running Talia Rose now, what would you be doing?
What I went to uni for, which was fashion buying and merchandising, so one or the other. A lot of my friends that I was at uni with now work for Boohoo, PLT, big brands. I think I've got a friend in London as well. They all work in buying. So I would have gone down that route, because I wanted to work in fashion, the business side of fashion as well. I love like all the number side of it.
What do you love to do outside business?
Now read books. Yeah. I've really started reading books recently. But I would just say family time for me. I never switch off. I'm always working on my business. Always researching of what we can do next. But yeah, just being around my family. That's pretty much it. I don't really do much else, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not a partier. I'm not a drinker.
Yeah. You can't. That's one thing you can't be. Yeah.
No, I don't have time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I really sacrificed that young.
Yeah.
Apart from like when I was 18, 19 and I was going out and drinking and having fun, by the time I hit 21, I was so in this business mindset that I just never had time. And I've said no to so many events and stuff. Well,
what would you say the biggest challenge you've had to overcome since you started your business? What would you say is the most memorable, toughest thing you've had to get over?
Probably that what happened right at the start with I thought that I wanted this amazing bikini brand, but the Chinese factories because we did do some research and we found that these factories were in Hong Kong and they were coming directly from there. That really, it almost put me off completely, because it was just so disheartening. And as a young girl, I'd put all my effort into all these organic sales, because they were just completely coming off the back of me on Instagram, and trying to build this business, and they just completely wiped the floor with everything that I'd built.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, I think, happening so early on in the business made me so, I don't know how to word it. Nothing phases me anymore, and nothing shocks me.
Yeah. It toughens you up, doesn't it?
Oh, well, this happened today. Brilliant. How do we move past it?
Yeah.
What's next?
Lael Hormozy said, I know we were talking about this before the podcast. She said, look, if it's a bin fire, just leave it to burn.
Yeah.
It'll burn itself out. Or if it's a house fire, you need to probably put that out.
Kind of have well, there is that. But I just don't know. I feel like I've always been a very, it is what it is kind of person. I'm not a stressful person, because I don't see the point. What is the point in stressing over something I can't control? It's going to happen anyway. So what do we do to move on?
How would your staff best describe you in one word as a person?
Chilled.
Very
laid back.
Do you feel that internally as well, or are you good at putting that
Sometimes, I have my days where I think, oh my, how are we going to get all these orders out? We've had a video go viral overnight. It's got 6 million views. We've sold 20,000 pairs of leggings. How do we keep up with it? It's a good problem to have, though, right? Amazing. And when you've obviously had your quieter period, it's all you could ever want. This, please just go viral and get all these sales. And when it happens, you've then got to deal with, right, do we have enough resources? Can we get all these out? And it even comes down to, will DPD collect 4 times today? Because they're not the most reliable sometimes, these courier companies. And
really, is that quite a big problem?
Yeah,
for you,
I ship next day delivery as standard.
Yeah.
I think my customers deserve to have their orders the following day. If they order,
so do you stock everything in your warehouse?
Everything's
like
ready
you did
to go.
the whole thing.
Yeah. We took on quite a big unit at the time, which was probably too big for what we needed. But I always wanted to grow into it, which is what we.
How many orders are you fulfilling a day?
The busiest day I think we had was 800
Wow.
on TikTok.
Wow.
That was just on TikTok alone. Obviously, we have my website, which now I've gone back to. That is my focus. TikTok very quickly engulfs you in the craze. But realistically, I think to build a brand, you need to be on your website. TikTok can come alongside. Yeah. But yeah, that was the crazy day. I think 800 orders, and that didn't stop for about 2 months.
Yeah.
Straight.
What's Black Friday like for you?
This Black Friday was a full week of mayhem.
Wow.
We launched a Diamante corset and jeans matching set. And I think with the time of year, obviously Christmas and New Year coming up, it went crazy. And yeah, the Black Friday week, that was the best Black Friday week we've had this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was amazing, yeah.
So to wrap it up then, I'm going to change this slightly to what I normally do now. So for any female that's looking to get into business, or if they're going through a tough time in general, might not be to do with business, and they're working hard towards something, and they just feel like they're at a sticking point and they don't know where to go next, what would you do?
I think it's so easy to just say, this isn't for me, and go and get a normal job. If you have a business and it's not going the way you want it to go. I've been in the position where I've thought, I mean, as established as we are and as well as what we do, I still have months where I think I need to find this next product because, you know, we can be doing so much better. But I don't know, I think it's very easy to say, right, this is fizzling out. I'm going to go and get a normal job, because it is stressful. But just keeping going and keeping consistent and just keep posting like everything is fine and it'll come back. It'll come back every time. Brilliant. You just can't give up.
Yeah. Just keep going.
Just keep going.
Tunnel vision.
It is. It is all about, and it's the end goal, isn't it?
I think people can, the thing that I sort of learned is it's just, you've got to just keep going and like not overthink it. You just got to take action. Like I think the time if I'm the most anxious or I'm, you know, not feeling good in myself or I'm not doing what I should be doing with the business, it's just when I'm not doing what I know needs to be done, and you're looking for an easy route around that. But the route is doing more work, isn't it? Yeah.
But I feel like from the outside on social media, especially to young girls, everything looks amazing.
Yeah, because you go, oh, right, she just shows some clothes and then people take orders. She's got it all sussed out.
Social media is your highlights of the best times. And I mean, no one really, I think, to be fair, I think TikTok now, it is a bit more authentic. People will go on and say, look, I'm having a really bad time. And they're, you know, but Instagram, it's always, you're just posting pictures and reels, you just, you know, all the time. Yeah. And you don't always know that behind the account, it might not always be amazing. So just keep pushing and it will come back.
Yeah.
It has to.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Briony. It was absolutely awesome to have you on the podcast for episode number 3. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.